This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English, episode number 45. So I don't know if you know, but today is International Kissing Day. So I speak to Dan the man about kissing, obviously. And we also talk about things like kissing dogs in parks, the 3-second kiss rule, Romeo and Juliet, and lots of rock and roll vocabulary, some of which I do not explain very well in the show, because obviously the vocabulary comes out naturally and then I don't have time to think about what to say, so I say something not so clear. So remember to listen to the end of the show for an explanation and go to the website rockandrollenglish.com and all the words are there with a quiz to help you remember what all the words mean. Now that is rock and roll. Anyway, I will stop talking now. Enjoy the show and I will speak to you again at the end. Dan the man, how are you today?
I'm very well. How are you?
Well, I'm very well, Dan. I've especially noticed how the world is a better place since the podcast on Monday. Have you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, exactly. We are changing the world, Dan. Changing the world.
Yeah. Have you done anything nice this week?
Oh, lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. Lots of sitting in front of the computer, editing podcasts and writing quizzes on the website. So, yes, pretty crazy.
It'd be great if people wrote you thank you notes for that, wouldn't it?
It would. Very nice reference to the previous podcast there, Dan. Very nice. Okay, so what do we always start with, Dan?
A review.
A review, correct. Okay, so this is from Gustavo Pinto in Brazil. The title of the review is Rock and Roll, Real Life. And the review is very simple, English for real life. That is what we're doing here, Dan.
Yeah, very good.
We've started on a positive, and that's what we're going to do. Hey, Dan.
We are. What's today's show about then?
Good question. I don't know if you are aware, but today is International Kissing Day, Dan.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. Okay, so this was established in 2006, apparently, to celebrate the kissing that happens between lovers. And but not just kissing between lovers, Dan. Also kissing between friends.
Oh, I know where this is going.
So, first question, Dan. Would you ever kiss me?
No, obviously not. Would you kiss me?
Absolutely not. But
you have kissed a few of your friends before, though, haven't you?
Oh, that was a different time, Dan. They were better friends than you. That's why I was happy to kiss them. I would not kiss you. Okay.
Thank you.
Although this does make me think of a story once, Dan, when I think we were in town. I said goodbye to you, and you moved towards me like you were trying to kiss me. Do you remember this?
That's not true.
Well, that is true. I honestly thought you were coming on to me, Dan, and I had to push you away. So what does it mean, coming on to someone, Dan?
To make romantic advancements? I don't know.
That's a very good way to describe it. And that is exactly what I thought, Dan. I thought you were making romantic advancements and coming on to me.
I can promise you I wasn't, though.
Well, that's what it seemed like, Dan. It was extremely embarrassing. But speaking of kisses between friends, how are you getting on with the la bise in France, which is the kiss between two people? And also, before you answer, when I said there, how are you getting on with, that's like a way to say, how is it going? So anyway, how are you getting on with la bise?
Okay.
And how many kisses is it? Because I had Luke from Luke's English podcast on the show, Dan, a much more interesting guest than you. Anyway, and he was telling me about this, like there were different kisses in different numbers in different places. So how many kisses are we talking?
Well, from what I can tell, it's 2. But it's always a stressful time when I meet someone new because I always go through my mind, how are we going to do this? So I tend to, when it's women I meet, 2 kisses. But blokes, I sort of, from about 3 feet away, will just put my hand out like a shake, so there's no confusion. I'm not going to kiss you.
Yeah, I like that, actually. I like to go for a high five, actually. I put my hand clearly out, make some distance, so you think, look, don't come near me.
Don't enter my personal space.
Exactly. Okay, so this International Kissing Day, Dan, apparently they organise events for kissing, or kisses, and they have people that just kiss that are actually lovers, so you can watch them. But then they have some other classes of how to kiss. So would you be interested in a class, Dan, about how to kiss?
What, going with you? No, thanks.
Could be useful, Dan. I also looked, and there seems to be lots of videos on YouTube about this. It seems to be a way you can make money, teach people how to kiss.
Yeah. Probably not. I can't imagine many people would ask me.
Quick question for you, Dan. Have you ever kissed a member of the opposite sex?
Obviously.
Sure. Okay, so do you know where kissing comes from, Dan?
What, in our evolution?
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully it's... I don't know. Go on.
Well, to be honest, I don't really know either, because I didn't want to spend all of the morning doing research, so I only did about 2 minutes and found 1 or 2 stupid facts that I can tell you. Okay, you happy with that, Dan?
I'm very happy.
Well, that's good. So, first thing to say is apparently not all humans kiss. Like, there are some specific cultures, like tribes in like jungles, that do not kiss. So, it's not something that everyone does. And they say, apparently, one theory, anyway, is it comes from kiss feeding. And so in this...
gestation.
Huh?
Is it gestation? What's it when you pass food to someone?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know the technical name for it, but it's that. So mothers, apparently, passed food from their mouths, like chewed food. So when you chew food, obviously, when you put it in your mouth and then you chew it, like you can't swallow a banana. You need to chew it, for example. So anyway, they chew the food and they put it into the children's mouths, and that's how it started. But the strange thing about that is that was between like mothers and children. So when did it become a romantic thing?
Funny you should say that. My old boss told me he was in a pub once in the south of England, and he saw 2 people, one person eating a hot dog and then passing it to the other person.
Christ. It's absolutely that is the type of culture we have in England. People eating hot dogs and passing it between their mouths. That's absolutely disgusting.
What would you do if you'd seen that?
That, Dan, is actually not a correct question, okay? You have messed up your third conditional there. So I'm going to help you with this one. What would you have done if you had seen that?
That's what I said.
Well, you sort of got that mixed up.
What did I say?
I think you said, what would you do if you saw that? That's second, Dan. We're talking about a past action here, okay?
Okay.
This is rock and roll grammar, Dan, okay? Just try and stay with us. In answer to your question, I would probably have just looked over in disgust, complained about it for a good few months, maybe a year, maybe even like do a podcast on it. Like, well, certainly bring it up in a podcast like you just did. So very similar to you, actually, Dan.
Thank you.
Oh, that's okay. So apparently the Romans were big on kissing, but then after the fall of the Roman Empire, kissing disappeared apparently for 1,000 years. So there was just no kissing.
How do they know that?
This article, Dan, is from a very credible source. I don't know the name of the website, but it must be true. Okay?
Yeah, okay, I take it back. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. But apparently, kissing came back into the world thanks to Romeo and Juliet. Because after that, it seemed like apparently like a liberating thing to do. And people thought, well, if Romeo and Juliet are doing this, why don't we do it? So can thank Shakespeare for that, to bringing kissing into the world.
If it's true.
If it's true, exactly. And I always put that little caveat.
Do you mean caveat?
Yes, Dan, that is exactly what I do. See, we correct each other's grammar, Dan. That's the beauty of this show, okay?
Yeah.
We are a team.
Oh, really? Oh, that's the first time I've ever heard you say that.
Well, we are a team, but I'm the captain of the team, okay?
You're a manager, not a leader, okay?
So anyway, going back to the word caveat, it means like sort of like a warning or to give like extra conditions. So the interesting information does not stop there, Dan, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I've got some more for you. So it says here, well, I think actually this is quite obvious, but also animals kiss, like dogs and other animals. What are your thoughts on kissing dogs, Dan?
I don't enjoy it.
I find that the most disgusting thing in the world. When I see someone, obviously my feelings towards animals are clear, but when I see someone like kissing their dog, I think, oh my God, like that dog, like 5 minutes ago was probably licking a tree or licking another dog's ass, and now you're kissing it.
If it was my dog, I would allow it.
What, you would kiss it?
I wouldn't kiss it, but if the dog came up to me and wanted to, occasionally I would let it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so now we've got some crazy stats about kissing. So we're going to talk about the longest kiss in history. So the Guinness Book of Records. Have a guess, Dan, at how long the kiss was.
12 hours.
58 hours, 35 minutes, and 58 seconds.
How's that possible?
Well, exactly. What were they doing about food and water in this time, and toilet?
Yeah, and having a shit.
Yeah, also true. Do they shit while kissing? I mean, if they're doing that, that is really disgusting. I would rather kiss a dog, to be honest, than kiss someone while they are shitting on the toilet.
Would you rather kiss someone whilst they are shitting on the toilet or have them chew a hot dog and pass it to you?
It's a good question, Dan. It depends who is passing the hot dog.
Okay.
And it depends who I'm kissing on the toilet. Like if I'm kissing
It's the same
like
person. It's the same
Jennifer
person.
Aniston on the toilet, then I'm going for the toilet.
Oh, it's Jennifer Aniston. But it's Jennifer Aniston in both scenarios.
Oh, I'd be happy for both then, Dan. I'd do both. I'd choose both, okay?
Let's get her on the phone.
So the next one is apparently your kissing style, scientists have discovered, originates in the womb. So the womb is obviously the part of the body of your mother, where you stay before you're born. Because apparently, like children that in the womb move to the right, when they kiss, they move to the right as well.
Mm.
Do you find that interesting, Dan?
Well, if it's true, yeah.
Always that caveat. Although that makes a good point, I believe, of like which way to go. I think there should be specific rules when you kiss people of which way you should go. Maybe, I don't know, like men go... Well, in fact, I was going to say men to the right, women to the left, but that wouldn't work, would it?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't work. What way do you go?
Well, I never kiss anyone, Dan. I'm just happy to go. I'll go anyway.
When you kiss your hand, what way do you go?
Normally go to the right one, actually, because I'm right-handed. So, but yeah, I think we should make some rules. Okay, maybe we could start the rule now, like everyone go to the right.
Yeah.
It's like in London on the tube, when they say on the escalators, which remember like this mobile stairs that take you up, say stay right. Okay, it's clear. That's what I like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah, well, let's do this, Dan. So the next one is apparently kissing takes some serious muscle power. So one kiss requires 146 muscles to coordinate. So what do you think about that, Dan?
Yeah, it's interesting.
So it's a good workout. So what is a workout?
When you exercise.
Yeah, so it's good exercise. So why go to the gym, Dan? You can just work out by kissing people.
Yeah, I know, but I've got to find people to kiss. That's the problem. Right?
Well, exactly. Well, I'm kissing my hand, obviously, Dan.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll kiss my hand as well then. Yeah. I won't kiss your hand.
Well,
I don't know what it's been.
You've tried to kiss me before, Dan. We've already spoken about that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So another one here is a king. So King Henry VI apparently banned kissing in England because he said it created disease, so nobody was allowed to kiss. And apparently in the 16th century in Naples, not only was kissing illegal, but it was punishable by death. So if you kissed someone, you could get killed. So what do you think about that, Dan?
Not much. I mean, I don't. Again, is it true?
Well, I think this one is actually true. I don't know. I've got a good feeling about this one.
What do you think about it?
I think it could be a good idea to make kissing illegal, but I would say kissing in public of anything more than 3 seconds of kissing, because there is nothing worse than seeing two people just eating each other's faces in public.
Of course, yeah, but there's a difference between two people eating each other's faces and kissing, though, isn't there?
Well, I don't know. So certainly the people that eat each other's faces, I think that should be punishable by death. I think that is completely reasonable.
Yeah, but it doesn't upset me, people kissing in public. If I'm eating, maybe.
Again, it depends how long this kiss is. If it's a little peck, then that's fine. So what do I mean, a little peck, Dan?
Well, just a quick kiss.
Yes, just like this. Like that's like a peck. Often we'll say like a peck on the cheek. So when you kiss someone's cheek, obviously that's fine. Or a peck on the lips, no problem.
No, but what if they're kissing, but they're not eating each other's faces, but it's going on for a long time?
Well, no, 3 seconds maximum, Dan. Okay.
God, you are a bore, aren't you?
I don't want everyone to be kissing for 58 hours like the world record. Okay.
And just think, there's some lucky girl out there who hasn't met you yet.
Exactly, Dan. Okay, so another one is apparently kissing saves lives. So a study found that people that kiss, well, their husband or wives more, on average, lived 5 years longer. Okay, so you need to start kissing that hand very regularly, Dan.
I've actually got a statistic on kissing, which I read once. Hopefully it's right. Do you know...
I'm all ears, Dan. So that's a nice way to say I'm listening intently. Okay, so I'm all ears. Tell me.
So do you know why an X represents a kiss on text messages or on letters or whatever?
That's only in Britain and I think America, Dan. Lots of, well, certainly Italian people didn't understand when I put an X at the end of the message because that means kiss. But no, I don't know the reason. Tell me.
In the Middle Ages, a kiss was used to seal a contract. So an X would be put on the contract and then each person would have to kiss the X.
They'd have to kiss the X. They'd have to kiss a piece of paper.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, that is crazy. Kissing paper.
Mm-hmm. But for no longer than 3 seconds, I think.
Well, that's it, Dan. No longer than 3 seconds. Okay?
Yeah.
If you're kissing humans or paper.
Or dogs.
Dogs, never. So another one here, Dan, is that it says Italians apparently are expert kissers. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's good news for you and I, Dan, because we both have some Italian blood in us.
But we both got Irish, so I'd imagine that weighs it out, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it's tough, Dan. But I mean, with this Italian blood, maybe we could start a class on how to, on teaching people how to kiss. What do you think?
I'm not going to kiss you, Martin. Okay, I'm not doing a class with you on kissing.
I think it's a good opportunity, Dan. If you don't want to, that's fine. Okay, so now we're going to move to some more sort of personal kissing questions. Okay, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you remember your first kiss, or have you ever kissed someone?
Yes, I do remember it. And it was fucking terrible.
And where was it?
In the park.
Oh, romantic.
Mm-hmm.
Who would forget that? Was it with a dog or a female?
Both.
It was just a stray dog in the park. So a stray dog, by the way, is a dog that hasn't got a home. So yeah, a stray dog in the park. First kiss, hey Dan?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you?
All I remember was the Year 7 disco, and the lucky girl was Katie Ball. So,
yeah. Do you think she's still talking about it to this day?
Oh God, I'm sure she is, Dan. I'm sure she is. I'm sure she's telling all her friends about it. I'm sure there's not a day that goes by when she doesn't think about that moment. I think we were listening to like some Britney Spears or something like that. It was so romantic. A lot more romantic than kissing a dog in the park, anyway.
I didn't actually kiss a dog.
Sure. Okay, so I actually just forgotten something to mention. Something that you could give us some information on, Dan, because you live in France. Why do we say in English a French kiss? So in England, a French kiss is a kiss that involves tongues. So generally is between two lovers. You don't want to kiss
Your mum.
Your mum with your tongue. You know why it's called French kiss, Dan?
I've got no idea.
Apparently, it's because at the beginning of the 20th century, in the English-speaking world, the French had a reputation for being more adventurous and like passionate with like anything connected to sex. So they just got this name. Well, kissing with tongues, that looks pretty adventurous. Must be a French kiss. Is this why you moved to France, Dan? Just because France apparently...
I was looking for adventure.
Connected to sex.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good luck in your quest to find that, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your information about kissing. Okay?
You're welcome. Are you going to celebrate by kissing your hand later, or are you going to...
I will kiss my hand, but only for 3 seconds max.
Correct.
Okay, well, thanks very much for your time, and we will see you soon, Dan.
Speak to you later.
See you later. Okay, so that was Dan the man and me speaking about kissing. Let's look at some of that rock and roll vocabulary. At the beginning, I said to Dan, I thought you were coming on to me. So remember, when you come on to someone, as Dan said very well, it's when you make like sexual advancements. Another way to say would be to make a move. Normally, someone trying to do that first kiss, like Dan was doing to me, but you'll be happy to know that I stopped him. We had a nice phrasal verb there when I said to Dan, how are you getting on with la bise, like the kiss? It's just another way to say basically, how's it going with? So how are you getting on with? I could say, for example, how are you getting on with studying English? Like, how's it going? Another word we had was when we spoke about when people passed food from each other, but they passed chewed food. So the verb is obviously to chew, which, as I explained in the show, is what you do to food when you sort of go... That is me chewing, well, the microphone. Another word we had was the word caveat, as Dan correctly told me, because it's quite a sort of sophisticated word, so that's why I don't really know how to say it. But yes, caveat is when you add extra information or like a warning at the end of a sentence. Remember, in the show, we were saying, but if it's true, so just adding that little caveat, that extra bit of information. We had the word womb, which, remember, is the place where babies stay in their mothers before they're born. A really good word was the word workout, when I was saying that you use a lot of muscles when you kiss, so it's a good workout, like it's a good exercising session. But the interesting thing about this word is it can be a noun or a verb, because you can say it was a good workout, or, for example, I went to the gym to work out. First example was a noun, second a verb. Boom. And a really good word, very useful word, is when we were talking about a little kiss and we said like a little peck. Normally it's like a peck on the cheek, which remember is the side of your face. But you can also have a peck on the lips, which, as you know, I prefer if you are in public. Remember the 3-second rule. And another good one, when Dan had a statistic for the first time ever, I said to him, I'm all ears. Okay, so it's like an informal way to say, I am listening intently. Tell me, I'm all ears. For example, if you have any suggestions for the show, I am all ears. I will listen intently because obviously I want to make the show as good as possible. And we had stray dog, which I think we had in a previous podcast, but that is just a dog without a home that lives on the street. And it's also a dog that Dan kissed, so, you know. And we also had the word French kiss. So as we explained in the show, a French kiss is a kiss that involves tongues. So it's very different from a peck. And it's usually the people that like these French kisses that break the 3-second rule. Anyway, remember, all these words are on the website, rockandrollenglish.com. Remember to leave a review on iTunes if you can or if you want. And have a great weekend. Do not break the 3-second kissing rule. And I will see you or speak to you on Monday. Rock on, baby.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.